Hi there, friends. It's Leah with Pink Fresh. I am going to give this just a couple of minutes to let you guys find us and join in on the fun before we get going. Sorry, I'm about a minute late. I realized at the last second that I hadn't wet down one of my lint-free cloths for cleaning off my stamps, so I had to go run and do that really quickly. Hi, okay, it looks like we have some people joining on. Hi, Patricia and Nikki and Laurel, and I see Heather has joined. Heather is in the comments today moderating. She is the name behind whenever Pink Fresh Studio comments. Hi, Sue and Sharon and Michelle. Thanks for joining me today. I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm excited to spend the next hour crafting with you. We're going to have a little sneak peek at our next release that's coming up on Monday. I know it feels like we probably had releases really close to one another, and that's just because our holiday release actually ended up having to get pushed by a few weeks. So that's why these two, it feels like we kind of just released and we're releasing again. But all right, we got a lot of people joining in now. Hi, Daniel and Diane and Angela. I might have missed a couple people up there, but thank you to everyone for joining us today. I'm excited that you guys are here. Oh, Louise, yay that you're joining on at the beginning. Excited to have you. Okay, so it looks like we have quite a few people watching. As more people join us, I'm just going to go over a couple of just things to go over first before we flip the camera around and get going. Hi, Erica. Oh, thank you, friend. I appreciate that. Okay, so we give away a $15 gift card code at the end of every live. So all you have to do is just leave comments, hang out with us in the chat area. Of course, once I flip this camera around, I don't see as many comments as I do now, but Heather is really great about answering and catching those questions that I miss. If for some reason we both miss it, we're not ignoring you. Just ask it again because we likely both just didn't see it. And then, of course, so commenting gives you entries into the giveaway. And then underneath the video, there's a little arrow button and it says share. Click on that and share it. You can share it in an email with a friend. You can share it to your Facebook page. You can share it in a Facebook group if that's allowed. Just make sure that the group does allow it before you do it. So Nikki, I'm pretty sure actually, so the folk dance die promo goes through Thursday, but I'm going to be honest with you, I don't actually know the inventory levels on that. So that's something I'd have to check with at our office. And of course we can't do that right this second. That one I can't actually answer for you. And Heidi, Lily, no, there are no expiration dates on gift cards that you've won. Okay. So share, hang out with us in the comments. Heather will pick a winner at the end of the show for a $15 gift card code. Okay. So if you're new here, let us know. We love to welcome you. I might miss it once I turn my camera around, but Heather will likely see it. So, and if you are new to watching our lives, welcome. We're so happy you found us, and hopefully you will continue to hang up with us. Now, of course, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. We love that. And it just helps us, get our videos out there for more to see. Okay, so let's go ahead. We've got all of that stuff over with. We have kind of a lot to do on our card today. So I am warming up my my Glimmer hot foil platform, but of course I must have hit the on button too soon because it kind of shut itself off. So we're gonna have to wait for it to warm up again anyway. But while we wait for it to warm up, I can get this camera flipped around and we can start taking a look at some of these new products that are going to release on Monday. So give me just a second while I get my camera flipped around. All right. change these video settings for this camera, and I am gonna get my phone docked over here so I can see comments better. Okay. So here we go. All right. We've got our foil machine here that I'm gonna bring in. And as you can see, it's warming up. So we still have the red button. So we have a little bit of time before we are ready to start foiling. So one of the things that I am super excited about in this upcoming release is a new alphabet set that we are coming out with called Ina's Alpha. And this is very aptly named because one of our full-time graphic designers, Ina, who does a lot of designing for us, she put a ton of work into this alpha. And so the product suite includes both a stamp set and a hot foil plate set. So the stamp comes in 2 pieces so that you can cut, or so that you can stamp and stencil and die cut all of the alphas. And then the hot foil plate comes in 2 pieces as well. We just thought that would be easiest to break them up just due to the size limitations that you have on most foiling machines. So then there's also the 1-piece die. So there's 2 dies in this set. You get a 1-piece die for the A through M, and then another die for the N through Z letters. And then the coolest part about it is the set of layering stencils, which allows you to color in those beautiful florals on the alphabets. So the cool thing is the stencils can also be used alone because there is a stencil for all of the letters. So you can use everything separately. So of course you have the stamps in the hot foil plate, which you can color in yourself. So there's all of these beautiful florals, and you can absolutely color them in yourself with watercolor or Copic markers or colored pencils. So we're offering up, of course, the layering stencils if that is your preference for coloring them in. And then, of course, the 1-piece die set for cutting the letters out, which, of course, if you like to fussy cut, you can also do that as well. Totally up to you. Okay, so my platform is ready. We are going to go ahead and just foil the A through M today because I'm just going to use the word hi on my card. And so I don't need the other plates, but I do have them foiled, and I will show you the other side when we're finished with the A through the M. So we got to let that heat up. I'm going to go ahead and grab my Spellbinders Platinum real quick. Get it on my desk. And I have actually pre-cut my foil. This is Aura colored foil that I've already pre-cut to the correct size for this. So I've also already pre-cut my Hammermill 100-pound white cardstock. We love this cardstock for foiling because it's nice and smooth. I always cut mine, as you can see, a little bit bigger because I don't want to run the risk of my foiling, shifting or whatever, and so shifting off of it. So I like to do my cardstock a tad larger than my foil plate, just to make sure that I don't run the risk of foiling in the wrong place. So someone's asking if they're too large for A2 sized cards. So each letter, I don't think so. Each letter is approximately, let's take a look, 1 1/8 of an inch. So as long as you're not wanting to do like a huge message with them, no, they're perfectly fine on an A2. And I'm actually going to create an A2 sized card today, so you will get to see it in action. Okay, so timer is done. And what I have noticed with my machine, with my Glimmer machine and my Platinum 6, is that I do need to add a shim for these larger plates. So this is just a 100-pound cardstock shim that I have added to my hot foiling sandwich, just to give a little bit better pressure on these larger foils, or excuse me, hot foil plates. Now you might find that you don't actually need those. It's really dependent upon the pressure of your machine. Sorry, I typically pull this off so I don't run the risk of doing that. So it just kind of depends on the pressure of your machine. Both of my Glimmer machine and my Platinum 6 are older. I've had them for quite a while. So it's possible that just because they've been so well used, that they just need a little bit of help with a shim when it comes to these larger hot foil. So I'm going to transfer this on over, and I'm going to just run it through nice and slow through my die cut machine. Heidi, I think I've heard that yes, the Glimmer machine does work with a Big Shot. I don't have one of those, so I can't really give you any information on that. So here we go with the foil. And as you can see, we got beautiful results. Not just a tiny bit of overfoiling right there, but not a huge deal. I was able to actually just wipe it right away with my finger. I didn't even need to pull out the eraser. And look at that. How beautiful and fun is that? Okay, we're going to move on a little bit in our card, because I am actually going to go ahead and take this foil plate off, let it cool. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let that solid foil plate heat up for a little bit before we go again. We will go ahead and we will reverse foil this in a little bit, but I want to give this solid plate, which is also releasing on Monday with this release, a little bit of time to heat up. So I'm going to set my foiling machine aside for a minute, and we are going to go ahead and heat emboss the next part of the sneak peek that I'm going to share with you. So we'll come back to foiling, but I want to give that a little bit of time to heat up first. So let's go ahead and take a look at the other product I am going to share with you today. I'm glad you guys are loving the foiling. It's magical. We love how it turns out. And of course, if you don't have a foiling machine, we are also offering the stamp set for the Inez Alpha. So we are coming out with a set of realistic looking floral sets. We have a ton of florals, but they're a little bit more whimsical and modern. And while these ones are still quite modern, they have a fairly realistic look. So today I'm going to showcase Lush Peonies with you, which is one of our sets that we're coming out with. This is what it looks like just stenciled. We're going to go ahead and stamp and heat emboss today, and then stencil over top of that heat embossing, so that we can see what it looks like all together. So we're going to go ahead and take out the Lush Peony stamp set. And I have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of white cardstock here. Thanks, guys. And then I've actually not used the stamp set yet, so I'm going to gently peel it off, because I don't want to curl up my acetate sheet too much underneath there. So I'm just going to gently and bit by bit peel off this stamp. It is a large stamp, which I'm super excited about. I love big stamps like this because you can use them all, or you can trim them down and use just a piece of them. So I find it super exciting. And actually, it's not easy to find a magnet that will fit in here with these. So you could probably actually just keep butting it up against the edge, but I'm just going to go ahead and throw a little bit of tape on the back and just put my magnets off to the side. And we will stamp it that way. All right. So let's go ahead and get this put back in here. And then I am going to grab my powder tool and prep this. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that classy comment. We definitely like classy looking stamps and dies, modern, classy, all of that. Okay. Yeah, Dee, I know that the sticky mats are great. I have 2 dogs though, and so stuff like that tends to just kind of get gross. So I do avoid sticky stuff like that for that reason. Okay, so I've got my powder tool, my paper prepped with powder, and then we're gonna go ahead and just ink up this nice big floral stamp with some embossing ink. I will probably stamp this a few times just because I am a somewhat of a light stamper, and so I always feel like I need to stamp with embossing ink a few times. I also feel like sometimes it doesn't stamp to the paper as well that first time with the powder. Maybe that's just me. I don't know if anybody else feels like that, but I don't know. I just feel like I don't get a good impression at all that first time around. Okay. I don't know where you can get the foil machines. Oops, I might have. I think that this actually might have, let me see. I can't tell. I feel like it might have haloed. It did. Okay, we got to start over. Sorry, friends. That haloed and we don't want that to happen. So let me just trim another piece of cardstock down real quick. Someone was asking where you can get a European plug or a European version for a foil machine, and I actually don't know the answer to that question. So it would be best to contact whichever manufacturer of foil machine that you're wanting to use, and that might be, we don't do that. Your best bet for finding that information out. I know that's not much help, but hopefully. All right, we're gonna see, hopefully we don't get it haloed this time. It happens, I'm not too worried about it. Other than the fact that you kind of have a lot of stuff to do today. But that's okay, we'll get to it. And I don't, you might hear my neighbor's kids, they're outside playing. One of them seems to have a fascination with a whistle right now. He's been blowing that whistle all day long outside. So you may hear them, and just so you know, that's what it is. All right, let's try this again. Hi, Julie, thanks for joining us. All right, let's try this again, and hopefully it does not halo this time. I've heard that there is a European plug for spellbinders. I'm not completely sure where you get them. So that's why I think going straight to the source is probably your best bet. Katrina is asking a good supplier for the hammer mill cardstock. Honest truth, Katrina, most of us do get it on Amazon. So, I mean, I know that's where I get it. So I'm not sure where else. I do know that I believe Simon Says Stamp carries smaller, like a smaller set of it, like a pack of 25 or something along those lines. D says she's surprised the dogs aren't barking at the whistle. I'm pretty sure so my Cocker Spaniel for sure is super deaf. So she only barks at those kids when she goes outside and she sees them out there playing. And I actually think that my Yorkie is starting to go fairly deaf as well. So we're pretty safe on them not barking at anything that's noisy. All right, so I think I got a much better stamp impression this time. And so let's go ahead and get this heat embossed. So I'm gonna change up the gold that I normally use. I normally use just a straight gold. It's typically I use gilded from Brutus Monroe, but I'm gonna use this one. It's called Pearl Gold Sparkle from Wow. I just like the little bit of sparkle that it adds. And I like that it's kind of more of a yellowy gold, I guess, for lack of better term. And so I think it's going to end up really pretty. I could tap it, but not tap off all of that glitter. Whew, that's a lot of embossing powder. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and get that back in. Oh goodness, that's funny, Dee. Your dog thinks that my neighbor's kids are a predator, huh? With their whistle. That is really funny. All right, let's get that glitter off of my desk. All right, so let's go ahead and get this heat set. It's gonna get a little loud and kind of weird here for a minute, and I won't talk while I'm heat embossing. Okay, I barely glimpsed. I think someone was asking what the embossing powder is called. It is by Wow. It's called Pearl Gold Sparkle. I'm going to be honest, I've had it for a while, so I have no idea if it's still available. But it just is this nice kind of yellowish gold, and it's got a little bit of glitter in it. And I just thought it would be a nice change from my typical, just like your standard gold. Okay, so we heat emboss this, but let's move back over to foiling because I feel like my my solid hot foil plate has been on long enough and is hot enough to foil the negative piece of that alpha that we did earlier. Okay, so let me grab that negative piece. And where did that other piece of cardstock go? Okay, I might have to cut one of those real quick because I seem to have misplaced it. right. Sorry about that. Okay, so we have our nice solid foil plate. It's nice and hot. Let's pull this off. And then I am going to just lay that negative piece flat down. I'm going to cover it with the cardstock I want it to foil to. Going to add my shims and my my foiling plates. Let's go ahead and run it through nice and slow. Okay. All right. That was a little loud. Sorry about that. All right. And so I have this weird, I don't know, it's a theory, and I don't know that it is even true, but I feel like when I pull the foil from top to bottom, I get better results. So that's what I'm going to do. And just pull, you don't have to pull super slow, but not like super fast either. And look at how cool that is. So you'll notice that there's a couple of little imperfections, but the great thing about this one is you're going to cut those all away. So it really does not matter that it kind of lifted a little bit up in a couple of areas. And like, look at how cool that is. I'm not going to use these ones today, but I wanted to at least show you how fun that looks. So here you've got the foiled version and then the negatives, and they both will work with the one piece die. So totally magical, totally fun. I just wanted to show you that. I'm probably going to use these ones today, but I wanted to show you how cool that solid foil plate is. And like I mentioned, it will be available on Monday's release too. Okay, so we got to get going here, friends, or we are not going to get done in time in the hour we have allotted. So I think I'm going to need some new ones of those. So let's go ahead and tape down the Lush peonies to, I'm going to tape them down to my glass mat. We all do this differently, but this is my preference here. Okay, make sure that you guys can see this on camera. I am going to grab my fun little ink stands because I like that it keeps me from getting ink all over my desk. And we are going to use Valley Slipper and Sparkling Rose to start our stencil. Stencil 1 will just be Sparkling Rose. Now, if you're new to our stencils, you'll know that, or if you won't know, pardon me, that they're all numbered in the corner and then they have alignment guides. However, when you are stamping, when you're stenciling an image that's already been stamped, you will not use the alignment guides. You will line up the stencil to the stamped or heat embossed image or foiled image, whatever it happens to be. So, and my suggestion when you're lining up to the stamped image is to line up 2 of the larger images. Oopsies. Valley Slipper ink all over my hand. To line up 2 of the larger images, and then the other images will just kind of naturally fall into place because, you know, that, I mean, the stencil is meant to line up with these. So like I lined up the 2 larger peonies here. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's ink up this first layer of peonies and Valley Slipper. Valley Slipper is quite light, so I'm not sure if it will show up really well while I'm ink blending, but I think it will show up better once we pull the stencil up and do the reveal. I see that Elaine has joined us from Montana. That just happened to catch my eye. Welcome, Elaine. I am actually from Montana, so it's good to see a fellow Montanan on a live here. I don't currently live in Montana, but I visit all the time because my family is still there. Okay. So this embossing powder does shed a little bit of glitter. So I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup on my ink pad. My ink pads later on after this, but that's okay. It will be okay. And I'll just wipe down my blending brushes when all is said and done. Okay. So there is our first layer of ballet slipper. And look at that so far. Just nice, light layer of flowers there. So same as before, just want to line up a little bit with these images. So one thing I've actually found on this layer, it's actually a little bit easier if you line up some of these smaller flowers because these are their initial part of color. And then that will just kind of automatically line up those detail layers into the, into the larger peonies. Okay. Line that up there. Okay. Flora is asking if we have our own ink blending brushes, and Flora, we don't actually. So we just use, I think everyone on our team uses something a little different. I mainly use the ones from Tailored Expressions just because I like all of the color options. Oh, with a second stencil, we're going to ink up with Sparkling Rose. But there's lots of ink blending options out there, and everyone on our team uses something a little bit different. So the Tailored Expression ones are my go-to. Michelle, I'm not sure why the video image would be poor. You might need to check your video quality settings. Everything looks fine on my end. So you might need to check your YouTube video quality settings. Okay. Nikki, the solid foil plate will be available on Monday when this entire release goes live. Okay, so there is stencil number 2. And there is the reveal so far. All right, so pinks are gonna go away. We're done with those. And up next for stencil number 2, these are the insides of the flowers and just some additional flowers. We're going to go ahead and use sweet mustard for that. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and ink this up. And just so you guys know, my husband's just arriving home from work. So hopefully my dogs will not be too rowdy, but in case you hear a little bit of barking, that's why. All right, I'm just gonna ink these up with a little bit of sweet mustard. Now you'll notice that some of those smaller flowers had pink middles, and the sweet mustard is just gonna turn them a little bit darker, but the middles will still look really nice. Okay. So that is probably plenty of sweet mustard. Okay. Our release goes live at 7 a.m. Central Time on Monday. Okay, and then look at that. Look at how pretty those little yellow flower middles are. And then I love that you get a couple of cute yellow flowers to add into the mix. And you can always mask that stencil off if you wanted to make those flowers a different color. But I think the pink and the yellow look really lovely together. We've got 2 stencils left for the Lush Peonies set, and it's the leaves. So we're going to go ahead and line up the first set, and I am just lining up all of the bigger leaves because then basically all of those smaller ones just kind of fall right into place. So I've got my tape all taped to itself here. There we go. All right, so for the leaves, we're going to use Aquamarine and Mermaid Cove. So this first layer will be Aquamarine. These are the 2 middle colors in our aqua. So Mermaid Cove is just a little bit darker than Aquamarine, but I do really like the slight difference between them for doing the leaves and then the leaf details. Okay. When all is said and done, I don't know how much glitter is going to be left behind on the embossing. We'll have to see when I pull it up. So maybe glittery embossing powder is really not meant to be for ink blending, but I still think the gold is really nice and pretty. And there is a little bit of glitter actually embossed in the gold as well. Thank you, friends. I'm glad you like the colors. Appreciate that. Okay. So there is stencil number 4. We've got 1 final stencil here. That is the last layer and the detail layer of all of the leaves. Okay. And these ones, they really are just leaf details. So when you're lining them up to the stamped image, just make sure they're within the leaves and you'll be safe because then they won't run the risk of being die cut. Yeah, okay. Okay, so these are being inked up with Mermaid Cove. Thanks, Louise. Okay. These are all pretty small. So let's just grab any excess ink left on the glass mat and get it on here, just so I don't waste it too much. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. I don't think I saw you jump on, but hi, I'm glad you're here today. Okay. So we are done with the ink blending. And there is the beautiful final reveal. And honestly, friends, that embossing is actually still beautifully glittery and yellow gold. It probably doesn't show up super well in the video, but I am super happy with it, how it turned out. Even though the ink blending did take off a little bit of the glitter, it's probably mostly just excess glitter that would have fallen off anyway. So that turned out just lovely. I'm super excited with how it turned out. And I think I'm going to make a little bit of a time judgment call. And I think I'm going to go ahead and I am going to use those negative letters, because then basically I really just need to die cut them out just for the sake of time to, land this ship on time. So I am just going to set the stencils aside, but later on I will take just a dry cloth and some rubbing alcohol that I keep in a spritzer or a sprayer on my desk, and I will clean them more thoroughly. That gets any ink residue that's left over off of the stencil. And then it dries immediately. So you can go ahead and put them away or use them again, whatever it is that you want to do. So while I'm thinking about it, I'm also going to go ahead and put this stamp away, because I am going to need my Misty later to finish stamping out a sentiment. So let's go ahead and put that big peony stamp away. And then let's go ahead and get this cut out. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to die cut the peonies with their coordinating die. And we're going to die cut out the negative letters with their die as well. Okay, just need to move a couple things around so I can get my die cut machine out. So it looks like we've got someone asking when there will be more sneak peeks. I am not showcasing any more sneak peeks today, but I'm sure Heather will be sneak peeking more on Thursday on Facebook Live. Okay, so let's grab a cutting plate. And this is a fairly large image, friends, so just take a minute to really get the die lined up. And then I'm going to tape it down nice and good before we run it through my machine. All right. So look at that. Isn't that so fun, all cut out? I love how that turned out. All right, so there is peonies. Let's go ahead and poke out this little middle piece. I think someone's asking how big our release is on Monday. It's not extremely large by any means. The alphabet set, however, of course, there's a lot to it. And so while it's super versatile, it is a little bit of an investment to get the entire alphabet set. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So I'm going to take a little bit of time once again to line up this one piece die so it's nice and even. I'm going to actually use this tape here. I want it to tape down real well so that it doesn't run the risk of shifting at all once it goes through my machine. So I'm going to tape it down with some larger pieces of tape here. Okay. Oh, thank you, Donna. I appreciate that. And everyone, in your wonderful comments. You guys are so lovely. We appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and run this through our machine real quick. asking if we are selling these as a bundle, and we don't actually sell our products as a bundle. We kind of stick to selling everything separately so people can get what serves them best and, you know, based on what they own. Okay, so let's look at how fun these negative alphas are. So I'm going to be using the H and the I. And like, look at how fun those turned out. I just think that is super fun. So we've got all of the rest of these letters, and I do have the other set also foiled for when I want to use it again. Okay, so I'm just going to grab these up and put them aside. Okay. So let's put these aside here. And now it's mostly time to just start assembling a card. Although one final step, I'm just going to set the word hi aside for a moment because I do want to use this cute "You Are Amazing" sentiment as a little, kind of like a little secondary or complementary sentiment to the hi. Yes, Linda, it's really, really cool. We're really excited about how the one-piece dies cut multiple pieces out all at one time. It's super, super convenient and keeps you from having to, you know, die cut over and over and taping down separate dies and making sure that they will, making sure that they don't shift or move. So we love the one-piece dies. So thank you for that. Okay. So I'm going to ink this up with Detail Black ink. If you watch us at all, this is a pretty small, dainty sentiment. And so I lightly ink it up and I'll stamp it 2 or 3 times to get that nice, crisp black impression, but to keep the integrity of how tiny and dainty that sentiment is. So I like to stamp light, ink light, and because we've got these great stamping platform tools, we get the ability to stamp multiple times to get that good impression. And I'm going to do it one more time because this is quite a dainty little tiny. Okay. Perfect. So let's go ahead and clean this off real quick. Okay. A little bit of stamp cleaner, that is not rubbing alcohol. I just like to really clean my stamps when I use hybrid ink on them, just to get that residue away. And this is just a very soft toothbrush. Oh, Amy, I have a ton of foiled, extra foiled things, because when I pull out my foiling machine, I just kind of foil all of the things over and over again so that it's done. So I get that. I need like a whole storage unit for all of the things I have foiled and not used yet, which just tells me I should probably just start using it, right? Okay. Okay. So stamping's done, foiling's done. Let's just trim this sentiment out and we can go ahead and start assembling our card. Just gotta find my paper trimmer. Here it is. Okay. No, Michelle, Perfect Sentiments has not been discontinued. So I'm not completely sure why it's not showing up, but it definitely, absolutely will be restocked if it's not currently in stock anyway. Okay. All right, just a nice thin little strip there. Okay, so as I have been kind of thinking about this card, I really didn't have much of a plan of action other than I wanted to show you guys these couple of these elements that we're coming out with. We don't have the time to warm my hot foil plate back up, but I actually was practicing foiling with some colored cardstock because it's just not as smooth as that hammer mill. So it takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of practice in like dialing in shims and such. But I was practicing on pink, and this actually is called opal colored foil. And it just gives like a really lovely watermark with a little bit of an iridescent tone to it. So I don't have time to show you foiling this again. And it's not perfect. There's a couple of little pieces that the foil, the opal foil lifted up. But I'm going to be putting flowers over top of it anyway. So not like a huge deal that there's a couple of little mistakes in it. But this is the chevron hot foil plate, which is currently available. And so to give you a couple of tips when you're foiling on colored cardstock, and I actually got this tip from someone directly at Spellbinders when I was chatting with them about the aura foil that I had that went wrong. And she said, if you prep your paper with a powder tool, you will sometimes get better results. And so I did that. So the first time I foiled this opal foil, I didn't get good results at all. And so I played around with my shims, and I went ahead and I prepped the cardstock with a powder tool, and it worked super well. So I'm super thrilled with how it turned out. And I actually think that this matches perfectly. So let's go ahead and use it, even though I'm not really going to get to show you how I did that. I'm just going to go ahead and put a full panel of foam adhesive on the back of it. I did trim it down with our essential stitched rectangle, the largest stitched rectangle. I like to do that. So I'll create lots of backgrounds. So I'll foil a lot of backgrounds, and now I also will foil their negatives. And then I will just immediately trim them down with either the stitched rectangle or the diagonal stitched rectangle. And then I have all of these backgrounds ready to go whenever it's time to create a card. Okay. So we're just going to go ahead and adhere this background panel down to our card base. And now I just need to kind of figure out how I want to arrange. I really want to show most of the flowers. So I think we'll arrange them just so they really are shown on most of the card. You all know me, I'm a big fan of foam tape. So we are probably going to pop all of these layers up with foam. Thanks, guys. Hi, friends. Hi, Mindy. All right, so let's go ahead and add a little bit of foam tape to the back of the flowers. Oh, I don't like these scissors, they're too small. Okay. And then let's put a little right here. I try to put like the bigger chunks as possible where I can, and then we'll go ahead and trim down some smaller pieces. Like now, we probably have to start doing some smaller chunks so that all of these great flowers will be nice and popped up. Okay. Thank you, guys. Glad you're liking this card. Like I said, we normally wing it, so sometimes you never know how they're going to turn out. I'll try to remember, give myself enough time next time to show you guys how to, or you know, the foiling on colored cardstock. I just didn't really think about that panel until as I was going, and I knew we wouldn't have enough time to do any more foiling. So I will do my best to show it to you in a future live. Okay. I think someone was asking how I create my large pieces of foam, and it's just a white craft foam with 5-inch score tape that I create them on my own. Okay, big guy out of the way here. Oops, my fingers are sticking to all of the pieces of foam. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this guy attached to our card. And I love that I'm able to keep the flowers as the focal point. And we've got that beautiful, just very lightly foiled background popping out from underneath it. It's just a fun little added touch. Okay, now let's go ahead and add a little bit of foam to our letters as well. This one I need my little snips. And Louise. I think somebody asked if the chat is available afterwards on the replay, and it is. I think sometimes it takes a little bit to load, but yes, it does show up after a while. I notice sometimes it's available immediately, and sometimes it takes a little while. So, okay, and I think we're going to put the high. Where do I like that? Let's see. No, I think I like it over here. So I think the eye is going to need a double layer of foam. Okay. I did not really actually mean to remove that release paper right this second, but okay, yeah, I like it in this corner here. So let's. Okay. Thanks, guys. I'm glad you are enjoying how this card turned out. I think it's pretty fun. Okay. Let's make sure this is nice and straight. I just see myself putting it down crooked. All right, and then I think I will just trim this down into a teeny tiny little strip. And you all know me, I don't shy away from foam tape. So we're going to just add a little bit more foam and pop it up off of there. Of course, if you didn't want to add this much dimension to your card, you absolutely don't have to. You could just adhere it with some liquid glue or really any type of glue. But you all know me, I like to pretty much pop up every single piece with foam tape. Okay, so there is our card today, friends. There we go. I think we're going to leave it as is because it's very blingy and foily and iridescent. And so I think we're going to leave it just as it is today. We're also right at our 4 o'clock mark. So I hope that you enjoyed this little sneak peek at this upcoming product. Heidi, that's funny. And we can't wait to share more with you. So today I gave you a sneak peek into Ina's Alpha and then the Lush Peony product combos. All right, friends, I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera around real quick. Back to me. All right. thank you guys. I'm glad that you enjoyed my card today. And I agree with you, Vicky. I think that adding more to this would have just been a lot. So I scaled it back. And we've got this beautiful card to show for it. Yeah, the foil letters are super fun. I love how they turned out. All right, thanks for joining me today. I'm happy that you guys had a good time and love this little sneak peek. Oh, and it looks like we have our winner. Congratulations to Lisa Kinnear. You won today's $15 gift card code. So all you need to do is to claim your prize is send me an email. It is leah@pinkfreshstudio.com. There is no H on the end of my name, so it's just LEA@pinkfreshstudio.com. And give me 2 to 3 days to get that gift card code over to you. So congratulations, yay, a little bit of a shopping spree. I didn't see who it was, but I saw the question right as it went up. Someone asked if Lush Peony has a hot foil plate, and no, it doesn't. Lush Peony and other than the Ina's Alpha, the other stamp stencil and die combos that are releasing on Monday don't have hot foil plates. So the only hot foil releasing is the Ina's Alpha and then that solid hot foil plate. All right, friends, so we will be back on Thursday for Facebook Live at noon Central Time with Heather. I'm sure she'll be sneak peeking some more goodness from this upcoming release. And then be sure to keep an eye on our Instagram feed and our Instagram stories, because our team and welcome guests will start sharing their sneak peeks here soon. And we always put those into our stories. All right, friends, that's everything I have for you today. I hope you'll join us Thursday.